Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in to my little corner of the YouTube guitar making world. What I'm working on today is installing some side dots in this neck and one other. So I'm going to run through the whole process with you, starting with making the dots from this tortoiseshell coloured plastic material. Lots of the old vintage guitars had, rather than just a plain black dot, they had dots made from similar material to this. And they mostly come out looking red, but you get little bits of yellow in it as well, and it's a very cool look, and I like to replicate that. So we'll start off with making the dots, then we'll get them installed. This is the material I'm going to be making the side dots out of. It's tortoiseshell coloured binding strip. So I'll move over to the machine and show you how we do it. This is my setup for making the dots. It's a very simple setup. This is a little steel plate, which is actually the drift for taking the quill out of the drill press. It serves a couple of purposes now other than that, and one of them is making holes. So what I have is a 3/32 diameter hole drilled in the plate, and the flattened off end of a 3/32 drill bit in the chuck. So we're not going to be running the drill at this time. We're just going to have the drill static and use it as a press. So I'll demonstrate how that works. There's one more little job I like to do before they're absolutely ready to glue in, and that's just to paint the back with a little bit of white paint, or in this case I'm using correction fluid, which just helps them to show up just a little bit better. So that's a simple little job. I'll just make sure I've got the back of it, and just dab a little bit of that on there, and you need 10 per guitar, and I've got 2 guitars to do, so I'm doing about 25 here. So I'll have a few spares, because invariably I will drop some on the floor, and once they're on the floor you're never going to find them, so it's always handy to have a few spares. That's it. Just pop that down on there, and it's a fiddly job this. I can never bother to do all of them at once. I just do enough for the guitar I'm working on at the time. You can see it's fiddly. To be honest, I get frustrated doing several hundred of them, so I just do whatever I need for the job in hand. Once you get going, it's not too bad, but I wouldn't want to do it all day, that's for sure. The next step, whilst the paint on the back of the dots is drying, is to drill the holes in the side of the fingerboard, or on the binding on the side of the fingerboard in this case. And to do that I use this. It's my little jig for drilling side dots. It's a carriage made from some pieces of oak I salvaged from a job I did in a church once many years ago. I had to remove a load of pews and rearrange everything, and I came up with this rather useful large chunks of very old, very stable oak. So I've used that for a number of things. So attached to that is a piece of plexiglass or perspex with some drill bushes in it, in the right positions to drill side dots in a 24 5/8 scale neck. There's a couple of lines which I'll try and show you now. I've marked on it. One along the centre where the dots will go, and one which is slightly below that. There, you can just see it there, which I line up with the bottom edge of the fingerboard. And that way everything is nice and straight, and a similar line lines up there. the end of the fingerboard lines up with the end of the jig here. There's a couple of blocks here, and with a few shims and a couple of clamps I can clamp the neck in place and drill away. I use 3/32 drill with a stop, and once that's set up I can do a number of necks very quickly. Doing 25.5 inch scale necks is slightly trickier because I haven't yet made a Perspex jig for that, so what I should really do is do that here, put some more fixing screws there, and I'll be able to do that, but I haven't done that net yet. So when I do a 25.5 inch scale neck I have to be careful to mark the center position, and as I do so few of those, it's not really an issue. It doesn't take me very long to do it as a one-off. So one day I'll get around to making a jig, but at the moment it's quicker to do a one-off rather than spend time making a jig. So we'll get to that. Right, now that the dots are made and the holes are drilled, we're ready to glue them in. First of all, I blow all the dust out of the holes, if there is any, with an air line. Then I use a little bit of medium strength super glue, not medium strength, medium thickness I should have said, and tap them in. So it's a little bit tricky, but we just pick one up, make sure it's the right way around. A little bit of super glue in the hole, drop it in place, and a little tap with a hammer, and we're good. So some people use acetone for this, or a mixture of acetone and binding shavings, but I'm not wild about that. It seems to make a terrible mess to me, and also takes much longer to dry. Super glue is much faster, so that's got to be a better way of doing it. That's good. That one. Once the dots are glued in, all that remains is to sand them down flush with the binding, which is what I'm about to do now. I use a small block with some 320 paper stuck to it, and away we go. And there we have it. Vintage style red tortoiseshell side dots. All done. If we go along the neck, you can see they're all slightly different. Which just, some dark, some half and half. There's a light one there on the 12th fret. There we go, just a little detail. It looks very cool in my opinion. Thank you for watching. See you next time.